He's totally lost, but suddenly demon coins manifest right in his grip. She smirks, asking if 10 coins are enough. He stares as she offers more, telling them to keep the change. The spree continues as she poses in new threads. He calls her stunning, but she's already on to the next outfit. He praises it, but she is not feeling it. He collapses in confusion, annoying her while his fashion shock grows. Smee taught her everything, and her knowledge is elite. Sholhu realizes she's actually memorized every fashion magazine forced on her. He starts to speak, but collides with a man. He bows and apologizes, but the guy just sneers and walks away. She calls humans pathetic cowards. Since he bumped them first, he should have paid in blood. He protests, but she snaps back. Weakness equals death. Wimpy demons are just prey, and the predators smelled his weakness from miles away. She deduces he fought the youngest son. She'd fought his sister herself due to a rival's grudge. She crushed her in a total victory. She tells him to annihilate rivals because violence is the ultimate deterrent. He bows, calling her ma'am. Target acquired. Suits wait in the lobby as tension explodes. They can't be late. Okay, I know what you're thinking. He's yanked away and vanishes while she whirls around in total alarm. She yells for him to stop hiding, but a shadow looms nearby, casually wiping its mouth. After devouring her prey, she sits in a cafe grumbling that he tasted mediocre and she should have picked the girl. She slowly sips her drink eyes, tracking the oblivious crowd drifting past her. Suddenly, a young boy's eyes lock onto hers. Noticing his gaze, the demon flashes a soul-chilling, wicked grin. Terror paralyzes the child as he senses the rot. She peels back her mask, revealing jagged fangs and a dripping tongue. The kid is trembling and fighting back tears while she just keeps casually enjoying her latte. A child's scream irritates her. She hisses Chen's name with pure disgust as another beast slithers closer for a talk. Chen snaps back, reminding him the boundaries were already set. Ready to strike, he asks if blood was shed. The newcomer admits the local hunters have finally found their trail. Chen suggests a hasty exit due to their pact, but the other demon scoffs. He argues they stayed undetected for a whole month of hunting, so there's no reason to worry. To him, the local demons are total fodder. Running is a joke since they have already crossed the line. Why settle for humans? With a sinister smirk, he suggests they feast on the 2 local demons nearby instead. The pieces click for Seolhu, and his partner confirms the hunch. This department store is a massive red flag. It is the epicenter of the local disappearances. Seolhu had leaked his aura specifically to bait these monsters out. Even if they are at a disadvantage, she knows they can't retreat. It's time for a violent reality check. They stand their ground, claiming this concrete jungle as their turf. This massive crowd makes the mall prime real estate. 3 major subway veins pulse directly beneath the floors, plus a bus terminal links to the outskirts. These 3 factors make this place a gold mine. It's the heart of the chaos, a perfect black hole where people vanish without a trace or a witness. And that is the twist. Even with cameras, anyone can be erased in this sea of faces. Alright, you and I are diving into a world where tracking monsters is just daily life. They've split the loot between the terminal and the subway. Choi wants to call the bosses. We're outnumbered, he says. She agrees, but feels their pride is being challenged right now. These enemies know they are being watched but won't flinch, even on a suicide mission. Seolhwa insists on a shutdown. Unlike those beasts, they must protect the innocent. This is a real test from the judge. Seol Choi checks his phone, worried. The subway is a trap, but she seems totally unbothered. Staff are still around. She flares her aura, promising to keep the body count very low. High on the roof garden, moonlight hits the scene. A demon asks where Chen disappeared to. Rai explains she bailed on this mess. Chen warned she wouldn't risk her life for local targets. Rai tried to argue, but she called him arrogant. To her, this was just a losing bet. Now watch this part closely. Ray is about to get a reality check on his own ego. She stands up, making it clear she won't stay. She gives a cold thanks and leaves. Turning away, her exit is chilling. Good luck, she mocks, with a very patronizing smirk. The other demons tease Ray for being soft. He shrugs it off. Chen never really belonged. The girl thinks 3 can handle it, but Ray's silence is weird. They can't ignore the fallout. Ray reveals a hidden lair for their feast. They'll hunt humans and gut any local demons. Surrounded by a human shield, their enemies are stuck, but the clock is ticking for them. He vows they'll eat everything until they evolve. Reaching the spirit level is the ultimate goal. He reminds his sisters of their family's shame. Soon, nobody will ever dare look down on them. Showing off their new strength, he vows to rule Jongyo-han's demon underworld. He says they're destined for the throne. Below, Seolhu watches with a chilling smirk. The siblings snap to alert. A suffocating aura hits the building, leaving them in pure shock. Seolhwa channels her essence, her voice echoing through the halls as she takes charge. She orders everyone out. Instantly, the staff drop everything and march toward the exits. I know what you're thinking. That violet whisper technique is broken, inescapable commands for everyone. Since only 3 humans escaped, Rai asks about the roof worker. Seal Hua just scoffs. Rai can't believe her speed, mocking their foul smell. She's glad they are finally outdoors. Viron sees her anger. Ray calls it a trap and sends Win downstairs to handle things. Ray says another target remains, so he and Viron will skin this fox together. Grinning, he promises the corpse later. Viron dives, but Sella suggests he should have run. They tell her to worry about herself. Rai thinks they'll win with 1,000 human souls. They flare their demonic pressure. Solua just laughs at how delusional they are. Unleashing her power, she tests them. Below, a confused grandmother wanders into the scene. Chained by the command, she hides. Sale rushes in, catching the woman before she falls. She gasps in terror. He lies about a gas leak while urging her to flee immediately. She asks about a child. Seal gestures down and assures her the boy is there. As she leaves, he sighs. Solwa notes that hypnosis fails against those with strong wills. She tasks Shu with finding stragglers. Scanning the area, he counts 7 people left. He pushes deeper inside. Suddenly, a dark energy hits him and a voice stops him cold. Winland grins, suggesting they act like this never happened. She was hunting for lean snacks. Win calls him her type. Backing off, he says no to the Demon King title. She suggests being friends over a meal. He asks if she came from downstairs. She mentions the humans she intercepted. Showing her bloody palms, she admits to eating them. She couldn't let fresh meat go to waste. Furious, Seo lunges and punches Winland's jaw. The blow sends her flying, and you and I know Seal is ready for what's next. Alright, you and I are about to watch this terrifying reality sink in for him. He remembers how those hunger demons feast on souls. These past 3 days were a brutal lesson in carnage. Now a realization he tried to ignore finally shatters his composure completely. He was so focused on hunting monsters, he forgot the humans caught in between. Meanwhile, she staggers up, complaining. Wiping blood away, she's shocked by his speed. She calls him appetizing, but he's just ready to end her. With predatory focus, he readies his next move. He explodes forward, closing the gap in an instant. She tracks him, screaming that he's coming from her blind left side, but wait, it's just a feint. He pivots midair, delivering a bone-shattering strike from the right. He jokes that delicious beats handsome before unleashing a storm. Blasted backward, she claws the floor tiles. The sheer momentum hurls her across the massive mall. She hits a pillar with a sickening thud. Seol Choi stands still, catching his breath. Surveying the carnage, Wan chuckles while collapsing. She scoffs at her own flashy display, calling it pathetic. Suddenly her voice trails off. She senses something bizarre happening right in front of her. Watch closely here, she's stunned by his magic, questioning if this unique manifestation is his true power. Raising his palm, he confirms it. He reveals a brand new whip weapon lashing out directly at her. The weapon streaks across the hall with blinding speed. It connects, triggering a massive shockwave upon impact. Rattled, she curses her luck, but Juan somehow snatches the whip midair. She mutters about not wanting him to see this side, then she yanks the cord, seizing his weapon. He acknowledges her monstrous strength as his energy construct starts fraying. Forced back as the weapon slips away, he finally sees her terrifying form. Eyes widening, he spots a blur approaching fast. He braces for impact, as Juan lunges with lethal intent, charging him with insane momentum. Juan's arm mutates into a grotesque state of power. She swings a heavy punch, but he intercepts the blow. He counters instantly, putting every ounce of his weight into a single strike. He digs his heels in after parrying. A massive blast erupts, hurling her against the wall, gasping for air. She claims she'd have fled if she knew he'd see this. This hideous look is her magic, and she hates it. He tries to object, but she shuts him down. She insists she already knows she reeks of decay. I know what you're thinking. She's finally revealing her dark race, the Brain Eaters. They must feast on humans to gain power. A new law nearly drove their weak kind to extinction. Banning them from eating humans was like forbidding a thirsty person from ever drinking water. They starved in the shadows ages ago. She shares her grim past, revealing demons slaughtered her parents. Now the only thing that brings her sorrow is the sight of her surviving siblings. Despondent, she admits the 3 of them lived like ghosts in the dark corners of the world. Orphaned in the sewers, they couldn't even hide their forms. Then she smiles, asking if he understands her life. She claims she's finally beautiful. For her, the endless struggle for survival is finally over. She shrugs off devouring humans as a mere necessity. Shiolchoi grits his teeth, refusing to give up. She suggests they pretend this never happened. Since she's hesitating, he declares he isn't a monster. He wants justice to prevail. Stop fishing for pity and just fight, he shouts, shedding all doubt. She readies a lethal strike. Pitying his choice, she blurs toward him. He braces, desperate to parry. Her raw might is just overwhelming. Taking her head-on is basically a suicide mission. Despite his massive growth spurt, this demon's evolution is on an entirely different level. Scaling past him in real time, she sends him flying with an effortless flick. The shockwave rocks everything. She playfully apologizes for her lack of control. For her kind, humans are the ultimate elixir of power. She's been feasting for a month straight, pushing her strength to absurdly godlike heights. Gasping, Seo Choi dares her to use magic. She mocks his peak as a pathetic attempt. He just smirks, channeling energy into his palm before firing a barrage of soul-searing bolts. And trust me, you and I just saw him lunge forward, connecting a massive blow with his transformed fist. She just shrugs off that counterattack, deciding to play with her food a little while longer. Battered and broken, he watches her prepare the final blow, realizing she never even learned his name. "Rest in peace," she whispers. He senses she poured everything into that strike, then reveals his hidden trump card. Stick with me because that gamble actually worked. Rewinding a few hours, Solua asks about the Goyu fight. He admits it was a total wash. She notes Goyo didn't even bother dodging since their power gap is a canyon. He is a top-tier threat among 500-year-old demons. Nervous old Choi asks if she is also that strong. She shuts him down with a glare. He backtracks instantly while she smirks, claiming she is the undisputed peak. Anyway, he asks about her specific moves, hoping she didn't lose herself to that intense bloodlust again. He used a wrestling move, but Goyo remained completely bored and unscathed. He is haunted by that absolute stillness. Now pay attention, because Sewa realizes there is a much deeper mystery at play. This isn't just about levels. Wrestling is pure physical dominance, not magic. Suddenly, the entire earth begins to violently shudder. She remains calm as the ground quakes, sensing Seol is finally grasping the true essence of combat. Just then, a bloodied demon ray stumbles in, questioning her presence. She admits he was a decent warm-up, but a massive disappointment. She sighs. Annoyed, she even considered needing 4 of her tails to end someone like him. Seeing Wan defeated, she begins to piece together why these demons are infiltrating Korea. She demands their numbers. Rai just sneers, refusing to betray his kind. She laughs. Looking tough while dying is just pathetic. She offers a simple choice, talk or die. Ray chooses death, his body distorting into a monstrous beast. Unfazed, she tracks his transformation while readying a shimmering red thread of absolute doom. Ray lunges with blinding speed, a beast unleashed, but she is already 10 steps ahead of him. And you and I saw it coming. She ends him with the Emperor's first bridge technique, one surgical strike. The outcome was written in stone. What a waste of power, she mutters. For her true class is about finesse. The crow on her shoulder complements her outfit, catching her off guard. The bird flies away as Smee reverts to her human form. Seo Hua's heart sinks. Smee looks like she has walked through hell and back. Sobbing, she begs for help. After scouring both worlds without a wink of sleep, Smee starts rattling off her solo to-do list. Sielwa pitches in but wonders who these guests are. Sudden tremors cut Smee off. Siwa senses the vibration is definitely Su Choi. Smee looks up as Siola explains he is deep in battle. Anxiety washes over the girl. Siola confirms the lethal stakes, but argues danger shouldn't mean keeping him sheltered forever. For a goblin eyeing the throne, combat is inevitable. According to Siola, Smee's fears will only bottleneck his destiny. Siola insists that worrying about such Choi is completely unnecessary. Smee is told to stay chill. Back at the showdown, the finale is approaching. Wynn screams baffled that her strike failed to land. Before she can even recover, another heavy blow lands squarely on her. He hits the deck defeated, yet somehow steadies himself before surging back up. Stunned, she wonders why her flurry failed. Grabbing her arm, he reveals a total shift. She watches, unable to fathom how he is still standing. Gasping, he declares his secret art, goblin wrestling. Every goblin possesses this innate ancestral wrestling instinct deep inside. If it were just muscle, it wouldn't be demonic magic. This is why goblins never truly lose. It is not just talent. Stepping forward, such Choi apologizes for losing himself in the heat of battle. He needed to memorize this new awakening. With cold determination, he issues a final warning. Time is up. As she lunges, he calculates how to dampen the impact. She seizes his head, ready for a killing blow. With a grim look, she demands payback. He neutralizes her movement, slamming a counter-strike into her skull. She checks the result, seeing something impossible. Su explains that redirecting force is a core pillar of martial arts. Instead of just stopping, he diffused the shock across the surface. Goblins call this the roots technique. Like a massive tree, this foundation makes him indestructible by minimizing every single ounce of incoming damage. It supercharges his goblin wrestling, amplifying his raw power. Suddenly, his equipped item begins to resonate. His energy surges to terrifying levels. Unleashing his true potential, he executes one final devastating move. Trust me, you and I just witnessed a legend. He craters her deep into the hard ground. Let's dive in as he slams her down with brutal force. Win can barely flinch against his overwhelming technique. That massive impact makes the whole building shake. Suchoi just sits by the crater, checking out the damage. The floor collapses into the level below. He lands calmly in the wreckage, while a mangled Win begs him for a favor. She wants a beautiful death, but he says no. He needs her alive to get some important information. Suchoi chuckles, hoping Win is actually useful. Suddenly he spins, sensing a lethal presence. In a blur, he blocks the ambush. Somewhere else, Smee mentions Chinese demons arrived for cleanup. Seola is suddenly very interested in these newcomers. She is down to meet them if they are strong. Smee warns they are notoriously stubborn people. A total nightmare to deal with. Seola jokes about some ancient grandmother, but Smee shuts that down immediately. While Seola asks about her bloodline, a mysterious woman appears before Suchoi. Meet the granddaughter of the legendary Monkey King. The new demon looks over the carnage. Realizing he was not the goal, he quickly introduces himself. She snaps, saying she couldn't care less. Sensing a weird accent, she declares the sinner behind him must die. Touching her earring, she offers one mercy. Then she crushes the accessory and it erupts into a blinding golden glow. Now pay attention because this next move is absolutely insane as she ignites a glowing lethal thread. He has 0 seconds to react. As the shot streaks toward him at godlike speed, a massive explosion vaporizes the scenery. Looking at the smoke, she thinks it is over. She thought he was toast, but he used Win as a human shield. He realizes he would have been dead meat if he had not powered up earlier. Thanks to his new technique, he diverted the fatal impact. Suchoi stands ready for whatever the Monkey King's granddaughter throws next. Still, the damage was way too brutal for his unrefined body to handle. Gasping for air, he wonders if he can dodge again. As his legs buckle, she sneers that it ends here. This time she's making sure he stays dead. Channeling her sinister essence, she prepares a devastating new demonic art. Then she unleashes the Wind of Spirits, a technique with truly overwhelming power. An explosion rocks the area, leaving only thick dust. Through the haze, her eyes widen as something impossible happens. Just as her strike lands, a colossal fist appears and catches the blow right in midair. With terrifying strength, it crushes her energy like glass before the spectral fist vanishes away. You saw that too, right? That giant fist was a total game changer, and now a massive entity looms overhead. Stepping onto the scene, Seola admits she felt a ripple in the air. She decided to investigate the disturbance. Looking purely irritated, she calls out the high-ranking demon from China. She mocks her for bullying a weakling instead of working. Looming over her, she demands a valid excuse for this entire mess. Give me one good reason not to end you, she threatens. Speak up now if you want to keep breathing. Seola approaches Suchoi, her voice softening to check on him. He staggers up, saying his wounds are just fine. When he asks what is going on, she brushes it off. This chaos is way deeper than a simple brawl. Seeing his confusion, she explains that the newcomer was pampered, just like a spoiled princess. That entitled ego is why she's ignoring orders. She is just trying to flex her demon power. Nearby, Xiaoi grumbles, complaining that she never wanted this trash assignment. She hates everything about this place. She questions working with low-level demons. Suchoi throws the insult back, daring her to actually prove her worth right now. Feeling the killing intent rise, Suchoi swallows hard. The air grows heavy as their bloodlust finally peaks. Both demons lock eyes, ready for a confrontation that could level this entire area. They charge up their powers for a head-on clash. Terrified, Suchoi desperately screams for them to stop. He's ignored until Smee suddenly appears. Looking done with the drama, she asks what Seola is even thinking. She reminds her that the newcomer is technically a guest. Stunned by the scolding, Seola's confidence evaporates into thin air. Smee turns her icy gaze toward the backup. Addressing Xiaowei, she points out she attacked first. Fighting without a judge is a crime under King's law. With a deadly serious expression, Smee issues a final warning. She is ready to pass judgment right here. Seola whispers to Suchoi that Smee has the authority to deport her instantly. And that's why we leave it to the pros stick around and see what happens next. Alright, you and I are diving into a world where even the polite ones carry a heavy stick. Xiaohui finally lets out a sigh, realizing this petty fight just isn't worth her energy anymore. The tension snaps as Xiala agrees, deciding that little boy wasn't worth the lesson anyway. As Shiai turns to leave, she gives one final warning. Shiolua tries to retaliate, but she completely freezes under Smee's terrifying glare. That one look forces her down. Looking at the mess, Smee smiles, calling the mission a success. She congratulates Seo Choi, saying the humans are safe. Worried about other areas, he learns they aren't the only hunters. Elite demons like Gu are already on different battlegrounds. With a confident grin, she believes the invaders were purged. Siwa reveals that even some humans are helping out. Per the secret pack, demons are securing everything south of the Han River. Meanwhile, the northern side is for shamans. They handle all the cleanup duty up north. The scene shifts to Namsen looking deceptive and peaceful. Yun sits in the debris, looking totally drained after a skirmish. A woman scolds him for being a reckless lone wolf. Introducing herself as So Youngji, she says he needs backup. Yun just scoffs, claiming he was fine alone. He argues that teammates are just dead weight. She retorts that a shaman leader actually needs to learn to lead. Clutching his mask, he mutters that he never asked for this. Standing over a beast, he complains about being forced. She notes the demon he slayed was exceptionally huge and powerful. Now pay attention, because even after a huge win, the real threat is still lurking. That monster was just a mid-sized grunt. Her jaw drops when she realizes he wiped out 10 mystic demons all by himself. Seeing his growth, she finally understands the Elder's bold decision. He grips his mask, repeating he never sought this power. Looking at the carnage, he vents about his responsibilities. She stares at the massive size of the demon behind him. He confirms the kill was a high-tier mystic level. He adds that the real boss is likely still out there. To him, this beast was just a grunt. She's stunned he soloed a squad of elite demons. Witnessing his evolution, she finally sees why the Elder gave him that promotion. He decimated 10 mystic demons without help. Reflecting on his growth, she realizes the Elders made the right call. Searching through the ashes, Yen brings up boring paperwork. She cuts him off immediately. They need to move. The police commissioner's waiting. Yen begs for a break, but she warns Seoul is in crisis. She flashes a news headline noting the public thinks it's a terror attack. They both agree that the cover story is better. They must maintain appearances for now. He sighs, ready to crash at home, but she drops a bomb airport duty at sunrise. Why the early wake-up? She explains a legendary Onmoji clan from Japan is landing in Korea. They requested 2 elite escorts. I know what you're thinking, bringing in reinforcements usually means things are about to get messy. Lugging his gear, the boy leans over to his sister. He notes the air in Seoul feels different. She tells him to stop pouting and enjoy their first mission. He hopes for fun despite the grind. Meanwhile, Yusen tries to prep a welcome in very awkward Japanese. The words trip him up, so Yan roasts him. He tells her to zip it and focus on this collab. Shamans and Onmojis working together is unheard of in the supernatural world. Actually, there is one precedent. She recalls a story where 2 elite Onmojis came to Korea. They teamed up for a massive exorcism. Did it work? Yeah, they got the demon, but it was a disaster. It was pure chaos because they hated each other. Their petty bickering caused more damage than the monsters. Looking back, their clashing styles made a smooth operation impossible. History is about to repeat itself. She warns him to watch his step. One spark could trigger a war. He's trash at drama. He is ready to bolt, but So Yan points ahead. Their high-profile guests are already waiting. 2 figures stand by a pillar, waiting patiently. Recognizing them, Yusen locks eyes with the Japanese duo. They feel his gaze across the terminal. Looking at the guy, Yusen can tell he is trouble personified. And that's where we leave it. Trust me, you need to see how this meeting goes. Let's dive in and see if Yusen can keep his cool here. He tries out his practiced Japanese for a warm welcome, but the kid beats him to the punch, grabbing his hand and bowing low. Surprisingly, the boy answers in flawless Korean and thanks them for the ride. He introduces himself as Yoshihiro Kira, hoping they can all become good friends. His Korean is super impressive because he has been grinding on the language since middle school. While shaking hands, he mentions his sister is the real pro. He says she is even more fluent, but she barely notices them eyes totally glued to her phone screen. She honestly does not care about the polite pleasantries. A cold hello is all they get, while she keeps tapping her device. That awkward silence, it is totally deafening. Kira quickly apologizes, introducing his frosty sister as Yuzuru. Lesson learned, we should never judge by appearances. One look, and Yusen realizes she is not just quiet. She is the real threat and a total walking red flag. They head to the car with the hotel stay already locked in. Behind the wheel, So Yan is the perfect host offering help if anything feels uncomfortable during their trip. Kira beams so grateful they sorted the room so fast, noticing her partners being weirdly quiet. So Yeon snaps him back. She calls his name, getting a startled look. He clears his throat, apologizes, and finally asks why they are really here. Suddenly Yuzuru snaps back. Are they here for backup or just as tourists? So Yan insists that knowing the truth is essential for providing them with the best support possible. Kira goes quiet for a second, weighing all his options carefully. He thinks over his words before dropping the act. He decides to be blunt, catching his sister completely off guard. She protests, but he is done playing games. He argues that being honest is the only way this partnership will work. Pay attention here because he reveals that this monster is nothing like your typical everyday spirit. Kira breaks it down. Asian demons fall into 4 categories. First up are beast demons, creatures of pure instinct that evolved far past nature. Second are the vengeful ghosts, human souls warped into something truly terrifying. Then there are Tsukumogami relics, possessed by spirits, but he warns of even darker entities born directly from nature itself. Most are spirits, but one terrifying exception is the Tatarigami. Yusen's eyes widen. He knows that name well. In Korea, they are shadow demons, so Yan nods, confirming they come from the darkest abyss imaginable. Their origin is a total mystery, though some say they are born from collective human terror. Only one can exist per generation. They are unique, singular threats. So Yan warns that their hunger and power-up potential are beyond anything they have ever faced. With genius intellect, they devour everything just to evolve. Historically, every single time one appears, absolute carnage follows right after. Forcing an uneasy alliance, they demand info, but Kira is clueless. Yoon only knows a prophecy of its birth and westward trek before the hotel drop-off. After telling them to rest, Kira heads inside the lobby and questions his sister's hidden thoughts. Outside, Yoon calls this mess a disaster, as Soon fully understands the heavy weight of his words. So Yan ponders the mastermind's true agenda while reflecting on the chaotic events of the previous day. You and I both saw those weak demons, but Yoon fears they were just a massive bait. If the goal was to make them careless, it worked perfectly. But if a shadow demon lurks, he suspects they are the ones pulling all the strings. Startled, she learns that global threats have infiltrated Korea, not just the usual spirits from Japan. He explains that while shadow demons are rare, they are definitely present on Korean soil today. A foreign entity growing stronger for a full month would pose a catastrophic threat to everyone. This entity might reach spirit-level power, drawing more than just Onmojis to hunt it down. Overlooking the city, she prays her fears are groundless before we shift over to Seoul's mountains. Surveying the trail, Seo notes the secluded atmosphere is perfect since no hikers are in sight. Seola falls silent, studying Seo's intense face before asking if yesterday's deaths kept him awake. He blames his own failure to save them, but she insists the fault lies with her. Staring at the dirt, he regrets his weakness, while Seola reveals their true purpose, vowing to train him in the mystic arts for future battles. Mastering basic demon magic is essential for survival, and he solemnly swears to focus on her lessons. Suddenly, she blurs into pure motion. Trust me, you and I are watching him stumble back as her insane speed completely swallows his plea for time. All right, you and I are about to see if this goblin can actually survive his training. Pulling him close, she jokes that they are finally in the perfect position for some special lessons. She tells him to stay still as she leans in, sending the tension through the roof. He catches a peachy scent from her as she promises this will be over soon. Vertigo hits him like a truck as she maintains a piercing, unshakable gaze on his face. Everything goes silent as Seo closes his eyes, feeling a surreal energy ripple through his entire body. When he opens his eyes, he is in a familiar place that feels totally twisted and wrong. Sensing his panic, she promises that this landscape is just a mental construct, not the real world. She reveals they are currently exploring the deep hidden layers of his own subconscious mind. He wonders if she is just a ghost, but her magic is way more complex than that. Her violet whisper magic tricks the senses, letting her manipulate his brain with total ease. By linking their minds, she creates a bridge to control his actions or even erase his memories. She describes herself as a guest in his head, her hand glowing with eerie power. Pay attention now, because we are about to see how he handles a truly impossible trial. With a wave of power, she summons a shadowy entity to push his skills to the limit. The darkness swirls and hardens, turning into a solid, threatening figure right before his eyes. Horror hits as a massive, muscular version of himself comes out of the shadows. She notes this isn't just a basic clone, but a perfect echo of his past self. It is a flawless replica based on his memories, and she dares him to prove he is the superior one. She snaps her fingers, giving the copy the same terrifying aura he used to have. Recalling his old state of total collapse, she watches as the duplicate gets ready for a fight. The memory warrior drops into a lethal stance, focused purely on the bloodshed about to happen. With a burst of speed, the copy lunges for a strike at his heart. A massive fist shatters the ground as the double barely misses its target. Watching from the side, she is impressed by the raw power on display. Even without demonic energy, the massive shockwave leaves him reeling, questioning the sheer insanity of that power. A brutal kick sends Sue skidding through the dirt. He is totally blindsided, struggling to keep up. That is God-tier speed and power. A relentless barrage follows, pinning him to the floor in a dust cloud. You and I saw him back then, but was he really this cracked in the past? Su parries a blow and looks for an opening to counter. He slips to the side, aiming a desperate punch at the copy's jaw, but it is totally blocked. Instead, a savage knee hits him in the face, launching him like a rag doll. Relaxing with tea, she asks if the fight is too much. Honestly, even she admits a physical brawl against him would be a complete nightmare. Su catches his breath for a second, bracing for the next wave of hell. Sipping her tea, she notes his instincts only work on low-level mobs. But what happens when his foe is a natural-born genius? Flat on his back, Su can't believe he hasn't landed a single scratch. Despite going all out, the copy stands perfectly still, making him question everything. The power gap is just illogical. Sewa watches the drama, a curious brow raised at the chaos. Dragging himself up, he takes a stance, refusing to quit. Suddenly, the double lunges forward, closing the distance with terrifying speed. It finally hits him. Every move he made was actually dictated by his shadow. Using that club allowed his ancient memories to reshape it. With fire in his eyes, he gambles that he can copy the copy's genius. He slams his fist down, mimicking that same defensive move. The copy's eyes flicker as he recognizes the ground stomp. He has to admit the double's execution is levels above his own. Gripping his wrist, he decides demonic energy doesn't matter. He might not be a master yet, but he is sending it anyway, launching the copy high into the sky. Turns out he has got a few tricks of his own. Weapon ready, he prepares his next strike with total swagger. Su taunts his foe. How will you stomp the ground with no ground to kick? He winds up for the kill. Ready to dominate the air, he hurls the club up, and it expands into a massive looming shadow. Grinning, he watches his weapon hover ready for the finish. Then it falls like a mountain, causing a massive explosion. And that's where we leave it. Trust me, you and I are going to want to see what happens next. Stick with me, you and I are about to see him finally crack the code and earn a rare compliment. Ciola admits his display of raw power has finally earned their mutual respect, but she just chuckles, pointing toward the smoke. Take a closer look, she warns. He spins around as a chilling presence draws near. There stands his double, gripping the club with a terrifyingly cold gaze. The copy hoists the weapon, signaling that the real round 2 starts now. She explains he was acknowledged because the copy actually stole his weapon to finish the job. Cold sweat pours as the realization hits. The copy never thought he was worthy of that club. The weapon swells in size as the double prepares a final blow. Infused with absolute power, paralyzed with shock, he can only stare as the air vibrates with overwhelming energy. Collapsing to his knees, blood dripping from his brow, he realizes there is no escape. No defense will save him now. He curses the unfairness of it all just as the club slams down, detonating in a world-shattering explosion. The foundation of his mental world splinters into nothingness. Broken and battered, he is forcibly ejected back into reality. He lies motionless on the cold ground before finally gasping back to consciousness. His body still screams from the phantom pains of the duel. She pulls him up, praising his guts for surviving. Now pay attention, she admits the odds were rigged, but he forced 5 tails. Intrigued, he asks what it would take to stop him now. She muses that 3 tails, or maybe 4, would do. Her power multiplies by 1.5 times per tail. Suddenly her gaze sharpens as she barks a command at a shadow. Hongrian emerges from the tree line, dropping to her knees in a panicked apology. She swears she meant no harm, leaving Su stunned as he recognizes her face. Siwa asks if they are acquainted, and he confirms she is a member of the Yang Hoi house. Hongrian is just delivering. As the contract down payment, she presents a garment crafted from a high-tier demonic artifact. Rewinding 24 hours, Moryang warns that the term investment gets tricky once you are inside. He pledges elite resources to Suchoi, unveiling legendary artifacts hidden until now. Suchoi vibes with the deal, yet immediately digs for the catch. He grills Moryang on the endgame, earning a smirk and a compliment on his sharp intuition. The director prepares his true demands. Chuckling, Moryang drops a bombshell. They require 0 favors currently. Technically, that makes this a gift, not an actual investment yet. Dropping the facade, Moryang coldly reminds him he is not the only player. Their survival hinges on the next Demon King. Moryang adds that lesser demons are desperate for status. He paints a grim picture of how power brokers gamble on their future champions. Suchoi plays it cool, though he knows rivals must hate this. Moryang nods. He hit the bullseye. Moryang claims debtors usually vanish, then offers a chilling example. He brings up the Haiti clan master, their former pet project. He gestures, noting Suchoi's rare spark. You and I both know the type. He declares the boy is a perfect asset who must obliterate all competition. In this world, the weak are just trash. Should he seize the throne during the brutal festival, Moryang will demand his price. Pressuring him to sign on Moryang frames this as a simple token of friendship. He unveils a unique gift. Donning the new threads, Suchoi thinks the fit is fire. Seola reveals the gear is summonable at will. When he asks for the activation key, Hongryeon keeps it simple. Suchoi claps, ready to test the deactivation. Instantly, the fabric dissolves into thin air. Seola flexes the gear's lightning-fast response time by flickering her armor. Hongryeon smirks, noting Seola's unusually high energy. She mentions the girl is a legit prodigy who ghosted countless elite scouts. Suddenly, Seola snaps a lethal glare at Hongryeon. She barks at her to scram, accusing her of being a spy. Stepping in before things get messy, Suchoi tells her to chill and asks what the deal is. Hongryeon drops intel on a demon nest. Moryang is ready to assist. Seola narrows her eyes, skeptical of the data. Demanding the truth, she mentions Master Yang. Suchoi nods, instantly recalling that clown from the Heitae clan. She reveals he led a hunt with 2 others. He connects the dots, asking if Yang was the snitch. A memory flashes the 2 demons backing. Yang were slaughtered. Trust me, you and I just saw him tuck tail and run. Alright, you and I are diving into the chaos right as the news finally breaks this morning. The guy was a total panicked mess when they found him still trapped in a loop and reliving the actual horror. Failure crushed his spirit, and Seola thinks he just brought eternal shame to his entire bloodline. She asks if the judge knows, but Suchoi is sure he won't lift a finger to help. Seola grabs him, brushing off the failure as a problem for later. Salome is struggling with the cleanup, and she tells him to go check out the scene for himself. The team might block his solo mission, but since he has the location, he doesn't need permission. He won't stop until that demon is erased, and honestly, she won't even try to stop him. Tip, identify the demon class. And seriously, watch out for those magic-wielding freaks while you're out there. She tears open a rift and leaves the choice to him before vanishing into the void. Suchoi demands every scrap of info from Hongryeon, while Yoshihiro questions his sister's sudden hotel exit. Yuzuru deadpans that she is just taking a stroll. She refuses to stay cooped up, but he's incredibly suspicious about her sudden urge to explore the city given their guest status. Rules are a drag, but she feels like the shaman is ready to play ball, despite her bad gut feeling. She smirks, asking if he thinks she would start a demon hunt right here in the city. Yuzuru calls him out for being totally weird. She says the river chaos wasn't her fault, and vanishes after telling him to practice what he preaches. She slams the door, leaving him alone in the heavy silence, doubting she would even pick up the phone if he tried calling her. The elevator doors slide open as she reaches level 14 and the panel begins to glow. Alone in silence, her serious expression says she's ready for action as she reaches for the button. Watch closely, she summons a spirit to bait that demon right to her doorstep. She demands a fortune from the creature, and the spirit silently nods in agreement. It senses her massive reservoir of energy and explains there are 7 types of luck. It weaves a scroll for her, and she snatches it with a quick thank you, unaware of the luck she secured. In the lobby, the truth hits. The spirit always gives exactly what is needed. She thinks the hunt will be a breeze, but her heart sinks the moment she opens that scroll. She has been gifted love and a fated encounter with her dream man today. A scream erupts across the street, making her wonder if this luck is just a cruel joke. Seo tells the taxi driver he will walk the rest of the way. Yuzuru spins around and locks eyes with the man standing right there. He sighs, regretting the mess he stumbled into and wishing he had just taken the bus instead of walking today. Pay attention here as we shift scenes over to peaceful Hanggang Park, where locals soak in the sun. Qian teases that Byung looks like he's having fun even though she thought he hated humans. He asks when she arrived and she admits she's been lurking for a few minutes. Hating people and just observing them are 2 completely different vibes to a guy like him. It's like watching bugs. You might be disgusted, but you still cannot look away from them. Struggling humans are pure entertainment, but she is way too young to understand that yet. Clarity only comes with time. She asks if the others are truly gone for good. Wyan might have survived, but honestly, it would not change a single thing. They will try to interrogate her, but she is still haunted by last night's events. Alone in the dark, she finally realizes she was a fool for ignoring her feelings until it was too late. She screams that she should have just devoured those 3 siblings herself. Even after feasting all night, she is still hungry for more. She shrugs, never bothering to count her victims. So what do you and I take from this? She wiped out the whole building, and her deadline is officially up. You and I are jumping back in as he finally backs off. With a grin that would freeze your coffee, Bae Hyung tells the group to go wild. He checks his phone and figures the news of the mass disappearances will go viral right after lunch. A suspicious Bae Hyun asks exactly how she knows so much about that sibling fight. Qian just gives him a look. She was totally there. Flashback to last night. She was a silent witness to the whole drama. Hiding in the shadows, she admits she was just passing through by coincidence. But something else caught her eye nearby. It is apparently nothing too serious. At least not yet. Back on the street, Suchoi blends into the crowd. Suddenly he spots Yuzuru standing totally frozen, just staring him down. She tilts her head, sensing his demonic energy. He is not even trying to hide it. She realizes there are only two paths here. Either he is a human puppet, or this is a total trap. Let us see which one it is. He is faking a lack of control, but she is focused on his hand. He grips an enchanted dagger, ready to trigger the artifact. Hunji shares a secret. A piece of the blade stays inside the enemy for long-distance tracking. It all clicks. Seo Choi used that shard to hunt the demon down. She confirms the tracking range is over 1,000 kilometers, but extracting the shard requires massive energy. New steel regrows instantly. This enemy is a total tank. He realizes the dagger is only still broken for one chilling reason: the demon is actually keeping the blade inside on purpose. He chases the energy to a sketchy building in a dark alley. Total chaos is everywhere. A demon calls to Tao in the center of the mess. His bandaged friend points at his mangled arm, looking absolutely terrified. Seeing the nasty gash, his friend asks if he should pull the blade out. Tao laughs it off like the wound is hilarious. Suddenly, another demon steps up, his eyes blazing with pure fury. He is livid that Tao led hunters to their door. This kind of exposure means no more human snacks for them. Tao looks him dead in the eye and announces he is officially done eating humans. His buddy loses it, but Tao says his hunger is infinite now, and he found the ultimate fix just yesterday. He realized his old self would have been crushed in that fight, but that victory brought an incredible new high. Zen gets it. Tao was born for this. He is only hunting targets that actually make the meal feel exciting. Calling the whole thing crazy, the other demon bails because he wants zero smoke. Tao just smirks and asks if he is sure. It is clear their paths have diverged forever. The partnership is dead. It is a pity, but we both know a clean break is necessary. The demon is completely shocked to see a hand extended with a chilling smile, while Tao simply wishes him luck. He thanks them for the memories and says he learned plenty from them. He warns them to stay far away if they want to live. The demon says goodbye, calling Tao a total freak. He tells Zen to move before sunset, but Zen does not budge. He chooses to stay by Tao's side. Zen explains they only survived because Tao carried the entire fight last night. Now he just wants Tao's power level, while his friend screams that he is a delusional fool. Tao warns him it is a death sentence, but vows Zen won't die first. Zen is totally speechless after that promise. Done with the drama, his partner officially quits the team. He asks for one last favor to eat everyone downstairs, and Tao gives him the green light. Tao tells him to feast before the sun dips below the horizon. Meanwhile, Seo Choi approaches a massive warehouse. Inside, Zen notices Tao acting strange. He clutches his arm, feeling a sudden, unexpected jolt of surprise. Outside, Seo Choi expected this meeting, but honestly not this soon. An ancient drawing reveals the demon's terrifying name as Tao readies himself to welcome his guest. Seo Choi enters the silence. Suddenly, two hostile signatures pop up and he looks up. A demonic presence lurks in the ceiling shadows while the metallic stench of blood becomes overwhelming. Yuzuru eyes the building with suspicion, calling it a demon buffet. Stick with me because next time it gets wild. Alright, stick with me because we are about to see a trap go horribly wrong. She remembers those odd prophecies. She never skips the romantic predictions, even the cringe ones. Apparently her dream man is coming today, but the message was just too vague. She thinks of So Choi, but swipes left immediately. That guy is way too clumsy for her. Suddenly she senses danger above. Gearing up, she summons her beast. Rao, let's move. We are going in. Scaling the walls with predatory grace, Yuzuru's summon vaults onto the roof and slips silently inside. Ready for a clash, she scans the area, realizing this twisted realm is actually pretty underwhelming. Paralyzed by fear, Zen notices the enemy lacks a high-tier aura. Finding his nerve, he chants a mantra of courage. Meanwhile, she coldly vows to erase any intruders. Deep below. So Choi descends the dark stairs, stopping as the shadows breathe. A demon hunched in the gloom devours its prey, spinning around in total shock at the hero's sudden presence. Stepping into the light, So Choi confronts the beast, demanding to know exactly how many more are hiding. Dodging the question, the demon sneers that the others went upstairs, mocking the boy's strange, flickering energy. Sensing an opening, it prepares to run. After finishing its bloody snack, it glares and declares Seo Choi is next. Watch this part. A sudden blur catches the lunging beast completely off guard. Blurring through the air, he dares the monster to keep up before unleashing a heavy strike to its gut. Spitting blood, the creature reels from the impossible speed. He seizes the monster, slamming it down with earth-shaking violence. Pinning the beast, he gives one final warning. He demands the number of enemies left. Its jaw distorts, shrieking a bloody oath against being underestimated by a mere human. Xiaoqi remains totally unfazed, watching the creature's desperate transformation. Then a jagged blade grazes his cheek. Cackling, the demon screams that he just missed his only chance to kill. It hisses a lethal reminder that every hunter eventually has to learn their place in the food chain. Keeping its distance, the demon prepares a long-range attack. Suddenly, the air screams as razor-sharp wind slashes the young man. Despite the carnage, he stands his ground. The demon swings a massive arc that shears Xiao Choi's left arm clean off. The blade carves through his torso, leaving a severed ear to fall into the growing crimson pool below. Gasping for air, the exhausted demon stares in horror as the boy simply refuses to drop dead. You and I both know this isn't over. Xiao Choi calmly acknowledges its pathetic obsession with gaining power. He scoffs at its weak resolve, calling its cause pure rot. With an explosive burst, Xiao Choi lunges forward again. The demon reacts, swinging a jagged claw with precision. The strike connects, sending Xiao Chi's fist flying away. Even with his limbs severed, his momentum never wavers. Pushing through the intense agony, he continues the hunt. The defeated beast claims eating humans is just nature. Bleeding out, the demon argues that predators simply consume prey. Xiao Choi offers a grim nod, agreeing that the world is built on hypocrisy. Then he ends its life instantly. He tears a pulsing orb from the carcass, his gore-stained hand tightening around the supernatural prize. As the corpse rots, he raises the essence to his lips. Upstairs, the atmosphere suddenly shifts. A crackle of electricity surges through the hall. Zen collapses, sensing a terrifying change in the air. Yuzuru demands their captain's whereabouts, but a trembling Zen has no answers to give her. Her eyes lock onto the shadows, but a sudden lightning strike sends Zen crashing to the floor. She just dismisses him as a useless amateur. Tao emerges from the gloom, suggesting that Zen's pathetic mindset is the real problem here. Watching him, Yuzuru realizes these exorcists possess a level of grit that psychics simply cannot match. A veteran of over 100 exorcisms, she thought she had seen it all, yet here she falters. Tao walks forward, lecturing her on the need for projected strength. His energy is masked, yet he reeks of demon. Below, So Choi clarifies his intentions. He admits he was just giving his partner a chance to shine. Unfazed, Tao readies for a real battle. Suddenly, a weapon snakes out, forcing Tao to react as the air ripples. Xiao Choi intercepts him instantly. Tao's lips curl into a smirk. The real game has finally begun. Xiao Choi explodes forward, burying a heavy boot into his face, before transitioning into a sharp spin kick. A brutal strike connects with Tao's jaw, sending him skidding. Zen shrieks in terror, while a battered Tao questions her. Trust me, it gets wilder. Alright, you and I are diving into the moment. She stands her ground, ready to brawl. But Tao's smirk cuts her off. He's not letting anyone ruin this duel. He senses a thirst for battle in the kid that's scarier than his own. She's fuming because they're treating her like some annoying little nuisance. Grabbing her gold artifact, she powers it up as Tao mocks her courage. She screams for Suchoi to move. He looks back, warning he won't hold back, before she cracks the ancient seal. With a thunderous cry, she takes off and launches a massive lightning spear at them. Tao and Zen freeze as the electrical surge roars closer. She fixes her aim. Another wave of energy hits. She knows holding back means certain death. She bets everything on one blow. Calling the thunder, she lets out a blast that levels the warehouse in flames. As smoke clears, she's totally gassed after only 2 big strikes. Her energy is 50% gone. The land's power is rejecting her magic. Suddenly, Suchoi grabs her arm, his intense eyes demanding she stay focused. He warns she'll get hurt being reckless, then tosses her to safety to handle things solo. Now look at this. The building goes quiet, and she thinks the demon fled. She's wrong. Suchoi explains their energy link is still alive as he pulls a cord. The cord glows as he explains the enemy's moves. He realizes the attack was a smokescreen, then coldly rejects her help, leaving her absolutely fuming. She snaps at his ego, but turning around, her blood turns to ice. With a predator's look, he laughs and strikes, grabbing her right by the throat. He knows about the pressure and threatens to snap her unless she fights back right now. He dodges a hidden threat, looking back in surprise. A tiny creature comes waddling toward him. The companion pokes him, and he lets her go with a dry apology. He claims the attack was a test meant only for him. They used her as bait, hoping he'd play the hero and waste time. Okay, let's pause. Do you think she gets it? He tells her to just go home. He stops for a final warning, pointing at the fallen victims. He asks her to handle the basement, because nobody deserves that end. Dawn breaks over the city as he stalks through a narrow alley. He tracks the energy cord and gives a chilling thanks for the sport. Tao admits he's strong. They're in a ghost town now, no witnesses. The streets are clear, leaving only a few unlucky souls to see this. Armed with a lead pipe, Suchoi readies for the coming bloodbath. Tao's face splits into a wicked grin as the two blur into motion. They collide in a huge explosion of power as Seo counters. A kick hits Tao's jaw as Seo strikes. He drives his blade through the beast. He plows through the rubble, but Tao gets up in pure disbelief. Seo Choi strikes fast, landing a brutal hammer fist on Tao's head. Tao braces with his pipe, and they trade blows like a dance. The gap grows, and Tao grabs the kid's face. He strikes with beastly force, making Seo Choi cough up blood from the impact. Elsewhere, Shawa scolds him, calling his survival nothing but luck. She forbids more doses, warning that demonic energy will rot his soul. You and I know he's a total beast. Alright, you and I are watching an underdog become an absolute beast who leaves Tao genuinely floored by his talent. Those guys were just warm-ups, wiping blood from his lip. Tao pulls out a mysterious glowing orb. Totally mesmerized by the shimmer, he wonders what it is. Suddenly, that goblin mask triggers his third racial trait. Nearby, a villager tells a wild goblin story, but his buddy is calling total cap on the whole thing. He swears a massive demon appeared first, then a goblin intervened to save his life while his friend begs for every single detail. He describes a titan twice the height of a man, yet it looked surprisingly human despite its massive frame. The listener just laughs, saying it was just some big dude. No horns means it is not the local legend. But a third guy's dead serious. He believes it because the goblin he met did not have horns either. Surprised they ask if he has seen one, he just gives a nod. Memories of his youth flood back to a time he witnessed something impossible. Two goblins fighting with silent, piercing glares that felt like they were from another world. Are you totally sure there were no horns? He reveals they vanished into thin air, recalling their pointed headgear, maybe helmets or masks, before they just evaporated and disappeared in the blink of an eye. To prove his point, he mentions the mountain trembling as he ran. Refilling the ale, his friend shrugs. Most myths have some truth. Now let us head back to the battlefield. Now pay attention, because the truth is that the legendary goblin horn is actually just a war mask forged from pure, concentrated demonic essence, not some biological trait. Even the stories about them being invisible are wrong. When a goblin puts on that mask, they do not disappear. They simply move at speeds that defy even demonic perception. Suddenly, a massive boom rocks the area. Through the smoke, Tao is grinning, even though his hand is totally pulverized. Seeing the opening, our hero delivers a crushing haymaker to his face, sending Tao flying backward from the force. Flying through the air, Tao spits blood and counters with a brutal headbutt. After a tense standoff, Tao charges with a sadistic smirk, but Seo catches him mid-dash and hoists his rival high into the sky. He twirls him like a cyclone, prepping a devastating throw with his special technique. Skyscrapers shake as a massive projectile slams into a solid concrete structure. The wall completely disintegrates on impact, raining dust and heavy rubble onto the street below. Deep in the alleyway, the demon's body finally stops in a puddle as an armless, bloody Tao staggers back to his feet. He glares as Seo lands in the dark alley. The mask's secrets flow into him, sending his innate abilities to a god-tier level. But something is different. Seo realizes his overflowing mana is becoming totally uncontrollable. Agony surges through him, hands trembling as his energy starts draining away fast. It is draining at triple speed. He knows he cannot keep this form up for much longer. Tao smirks, calling him an absolute beast, and admitting he learned plenty today, while finally claiming to grasp his own peak strength. His arms regenerate as he thanks Seo. Discarding his gear, our hero is not interested in any gratitude. Then, biting his finger, he tells the monster to drop dead. Tao just chuckles, refusing that option. Smiling wildly, he lunges forward for the ultimate thrill. The carnage is officially starting back up. Their collision triggers a massive blast across the rooftop as they both move at insane lethal speeds. Fists fly in a relentless trade. The sheer pressure completely shatters the concrete beneath their feet. You and I can see they are perfectly matched, but the first one to crack is going down. Tao escalates by gathering dark energy, hitting our hero dead center in the chest with a strike. A blinding explosion erupts. Thrown against a wall, it is clear that goblins are not the only ones who can evolve. Tao awakens new magic. Shocked by his potential, Seo rises once more to face him. Tao sends a devastating power wave toward his target, but Seo leaps high to avoid it. He barely dodges the blast before prepping a lethal counter, pooling raw energy into his palm for a massive shockwave collision. Fueled by the mask, he gears up for the final showdown. Neither monster is going to surrender now. Tightening his grip, he channels every drop of mana into one strike, knowing only absolute destruction can finally end this fight. Locking eyes, both warriors transcend their limits and merge their magical prowess together. Trust me, you and I just witnessed a legendary spear being forged for the ultimate finish. Alright, you and I are diving into the final showdown of this epic goblin war. SEO gears up. Their impact triggers a massive explosion, leaving Tao broken and completely drained in the smoking debris. Even in defeat, He accepts his fate with dignity. He even compliments Seo's blade before finally passing out. Seo stands over his mangled opponent when a mysterious shadow appears, praising the spectacular duel from behind. Approaching the stranger notes Seo's evolution into a true goblin and introduces himself as the mysterious Bayon. He claims he is a goblin too, while Seo stays on guard amidst the carnage. The stranger tells Seo to relax, swearing he won't interfere in the fight against the fallen Tao. Suddenly, a massive shard of debris flies past. Seo flinches as Bahian vanishes and instantly reappears. Tao actually looks satisfied. Gazing at the fallen demon, Bahian admits things could have gone very differently. He grins about a second round, but Seo roars back that there won't be a next time. Igniting his aura, he swings a massive strike at Bahian, forcing the newcomer to harden his gaze. He barely deflects it, summoning massive roots to absorb the impact while calling Seo's combat form sharp. Now pay attention, because this is where our main character realizes he is actually outclassed by a master. It is a perfected absolute technique that channels impact directly into the earth. Bahian smiles with pure relief. Recognizing the skill, Seo drops his weapon. As he jumps back, Bahian acknowledges the young man's confusion. He knows Seo was told he was the last goblin. Seo just snarls, grabbing him by the collar. Seo doesn't care about being the last. Bahian just grins, admitting he's the one who summoned the demons. He offers to reveal his true motives and lay everything bare for Seo to see. He has been waiting for this chat, but Seo strikes instantly with a surprise lunge at his face. Bahian remains eerily still, tracking the incoming weapon with zero fear. Unfazed, the man starts lecturing Seo like a mentor. Seo cuts him off with a brutal gut punch. Coughing up blood, Bahian keeps talking about staying grounded against elite foes, introducing his mysterious roots technique to young Seo. This skill parries almost anything. Then he unleashes a massive shockwave to demonstrate its offensive power. He slams Seo into a nearby stone wall with terrifying force. The concrete shatters. Clenching his fist, he claims this skill maximizes lethality without wasting a drop of stamina. Stepping through the dust, he commends Seo for mastering the goblin basics all on his own. Suddenly, he asks if Seo likes dogs, noting that canines are far superior to most pathetic humans. Looming over Seo, he whispers that a pet turning wild is the owner's failure, calling weaklings who forget their rank repulsive. To him, they are just trash. Seo snaps back in fury, but Bahian warns him not to misunderstand. I know what you are thinking, this guy is totally unhinged, and he is just getting started. Before Demon Kings existed, there was only the raw brutality of the food chain. Back then, weaklings were prey. He chuckles at how modern demons wait for meals. To him, they are just pampered, lazy livestock. He recalls how humans have totally forgotten their place, shielded by laws while acting without any real fear. They trample others for free, never realizing they only survive because of the powerful systems protecting them from above. He tells Seo to imagine a world stripped of such fake safety. In a world without laws, only raw power dictates survival. The irresponsible would have nowhere left to hide. Seo calls his logic childish, but Bahian just laughs it off while rising to his feet. Their worldviews clash entirely. Then he locks eyes with the boy. We will change that reality right now. He admits Seo sparked his interest by crushing Tao. He invites him to learn the truth, but Seo refuses. When Seo asks what if he refuses, Bahian scoffs that he never had a choice. Chillingly calm, Bahian saunters forward as Seo's arm begins to twitch purely by instinct. He smirks, asking if Seo is ready for the consequences, warning that any struggle now is just pathetic. Suddenly he looks toward the shadows. A mysterious silhouette emerges, and his arrogant look shifts to a sudden deep intrigue. Just as the heavy atmosphere reaches a total breaking point. And trust me, you and I didn't expect Yuzuru to show up at this exact moment. Alright, you and I are about to see a complete underdog pull off the ultimate move with a hidden artifact and electricity. It wasn't to kill, just to stun. With Bahian paralyzed by high voltage, a window opens up. Seo becomes a total blur of speed, closing the gap in a heartbeat. He puts every bit of his weight into a massive punch, aimed right for the monster's head. The air literally screams as his fist slams into that creature's face. The impact hits like a bomb, sending shockwaves everywhere. Bahian gets launched like a rag doll and just vanishes right into the skyline. But why was Seo so slow to recover during that opening? His mind was stuck on his weapon's bizarre evolution. It underwent an otherworldly change during their last life or death struggle. He could not understand the science or the logic behind this strange new power. But the primal energy vibrating in his hands was real. They say his weapon mirrors his soul reshaping itself based on his darkest desires in the moment. Seo used this morphing ability to survive before constantly changing its shape to counter whatever threat stood in his path. Now pay attention, this wasn't just a simple tactical shift. The steel was now pulsating with an emotion that felt like pure obsession. He had a thirst to reach the endgame and end the cycle of misery. To demons, humans are just cattle. He was done being a witness to that. For way too long, he was tired of being the helpless victim. His focus narrowed to one target. I am going to end you, he growled, pouring his entire soul into the blade. Facing that killing intent, Bi-hyung let out a nervous, jagged little laugh. He reached out with shaking hands, barely managing to catch the weapon. The air grew heavy with bloodlust as the weapon finally unmasked its terrifying and true form for the world to see. An explosion of power erupted, casting a massive shadow over the entire city below. A witness watched the carnage in horror. Yuzuru stood frozen, unable to process the scale of this power. Despite being exhausted, Seo hoisted his weapon, now a massive demonic war axe. Standing in the smoldering wreckage, he gripped that engine of destruction. He looked absolutely legendary and terrifying. Yuzuru could only wonder where this impossible strength was coming from. His presence now rivaled a high-ranking archdemon from the abyss. He lunged forward from the underworld and swung the massive, colossal axe right at Yuzuru. Just as the blade whistled through the air, he roared for her to duck. Can you believe that my heart actually stopped as she stared at death, but the trajectory shifted at the very last second, saving her life? The blow was a feint redirected with perfect accuracy toward Bi-hyung. Yet Seo's heart sank. He realized he hadn't even managed to graze the monster. Bi-hyung reappeared instantly, mocking him about how his growth never stops. Even at full throttle, the gap between them was like a massive canyon. How does it feel to be so close yet so far? Bi-hyung was totally unfazed as he loomed against the darkening sky. He sighed and lamented that he was not allowed to spill any blood today. His mangled hand healed instantly. That is high-tier regeneration for you, and it is terrifying. With a flicker, he countered Seo with a lightning-fast strike. The hit landed and the stakes shifted. Well, this just got way more complicated, he whispered. Under the pressure of the impact, Seo's ultimate weapon shattered into 1,000 shards. Blasted back, Seo tumbled across the ground while the girl watched. The predator began his slow walk toward them. Bi-hyung explained that a weapon's true form is forged for one purpose, and that purpose has a price. Seo's weapon was built for one thing: murder. Using a tool for killing to defend yourself is like blocking a sword with your bare ribs. He chuckled, suggesting Seo should have just used his own body as a shield from the start. Bi-hyung looked at the girl. You are a long way from home, aren't you? A Japanese shaman here is a rarity. With pure malice, he warned she should have done her homework first. And trust me, you and I are definitely going to want to see what happens after this cliffhanger. All right, you and I are watching a hero forced to surrender. As the monster grabs her, she spots a legendary pill from the Yanghoi house. Bi-hyung's monstrous grin says it all. Every miracle drug has a side effect that kills. He overloaded his internal crystal. Survival is now a coin toss. Bi-hyung mocks the paralyzed hero, knowing he cannot fight back without risking the girl's life. He demands total submission, but the girl screams for him to ignore the beast. Raising the pill high, she shouts that she was born prepared to die as an exorcist. Bi-hyung scowls. You are really starting to annoy me, kid. He crushes her harder as she screams in agony. Know your place, human trash, he hisses. Suddenly, a silver flash cuts through the air. Now watch this. A phantom blade slices his hand, leaving him in total shock. Disturbed, Bi-hyung scans the area, desperately hunting for the invisible man who drew his blood. Across the field, a guy in glasses braces himself and hammers Bi-hyung with fists. A hand catches his arm mid-strike. Goyu barks a warning to stop draining his energy. Su is stunned and demands answers, but Goyu says the time for talking is over. Gesturing to the ruins, he shows off the carnage. Yuzaru recovers nearby. He reassures her, then clashes with Bi-hyung in a suit-clad blur of blinding speed. The suited warrior pulls back, channeling his force into one devastating straight lunge. Bi-hyung dodges, parries a kick, and scoffs that their power levels are not even close. He mocks their efforts until blood suddenly sprays from his own face. Go reveals his clan magic. Now the moisture in the air begins to boil. Bi-hyung gasps through the gore as Yu-yong finally introduces himself. He says martial arts require dirty tricks to win. The water around them starts morphing. The spell's lethality depends on water purity and distance. They specialize in steam and groundwater. You and I saw that coming. His own blood is the catalyst for this legendary, rare, and difficult secret art. Yu-yong weaves his hands, locking onto his target. One flick of his finger snaps the trap. Bi-hyung watches in total shock as a liquid bullet fires and a massive explosion rocks the area. He cannot believe a single drop is this powerful, but every hunter has their own specialty. He summons water orbs and turns the skyline into fiery detonations. Goyu says Su is used to this. Su remembers yesterday's clash. The signature is identical, but the power gap is truly astronomical. He could read the flow before, but now a total enigma. He declares Yu Yong the absolute pinnacle of their clan's most elite warriors. Yu Yong eyes his prey through the debris, stunned by the monster's freakish healing factor. Byong wipes his chin, claiming the real fun is just starting. Yu Yong warns the others that his next strike is full throttle, so they better stay on guard for what comes next. Yu Yong readies his ultimate finishing move, and the girl senses a massive mana surge. He clenches his fist, centering his power. The earth trembles as a water geyser summons a terrifying beast. With a cold glare, Yu Yong commands his watery monster to tear the enemy apart. A titan towers over the city. Yuzuru is frozen in terror. He remembers this power leveled a mansion once. The beast's name is Ishim. Pointing his finger forward, he gives the final order for the nightmare to advance. The Titan lunges with impossible speed, a liquid wrecking ball aimed straight for the kill. Byong roars, driven back by the sheer force of the blow. You and I just saw a massive shockwave hit him right in the face. Epic, right? Stick with me, we are diving into a world where chaos is just another Tuesday. Yuzuru and Yoshihiro scramble as a massive blast rocks their reality. He watches as Goyu weaves a towering barrier, sealing them safely inside the shield. The trap is set. From above, their spherical prison sits right in a massive crater. Turns out these two clans are total opposites. Their water magic literally just cancels itself out. What a disaster. Gasping for air, Yong looks at the wreckage and admits they actually succeeded. Go checks if Yu Yong is still holding up. He just needs a breather after seeing that result. Standing on the edge, the pair surveys the destruction. Below, Yoshihiro weighs his remaining options. Either he overestimated them or they just lacked the will to kill. Yu Yong confirms it. His mind is already on the next threat, baffled by how obsessed the enemy is. Straightening his tie, Yu Yong stays icy. Xiu and Yuzuru watch the awkward tension in silence. Now pay attention, Yong strikes the ground, sending a massive shockwave that slams Xiu right into the wreckage. She screams, demanding answers. When she asks why he attacked, he calmly tells her to chill. He did what was necessary. Looking at a broken Yoshihiro, Yong just dismisses him instantly. He assures Yuzuru that the danger is gone. Business is over and humans should not meddle in these broken streets. Elsewhere in a sleek skyscraper, Tao sits there battered and bloodied. Chen looms over him, noting they are both shadow demons. Tao looks like a tasty snack to her. He does not care if they eat each other. Chen asks if Bahong is even breathing. Smiling, Bahong admits the brat caught him off guard. The kid read his magic, triggering tremors through the earth itself. That power fails on unstable ground. The enemy intentionally wrecked the terrain to nerf his skills. Chen vows to remember that for dinner. Byong just grins. That kid was seriously tough. Chen drinks, asking why he retreated. Staring at the clouds, Byong admits he was forced to stand down. She stares at her partner, trying to decode that answer. Suddenly, heavy rain falls. Byong retreated because the weather changed. Battling in the rain was a gamble he would not take. He had to prioritize saving Tao instead. The others were playing bodyguard. He will catch Su later. We have all been there. Su finally wakes up disoriented as the bright lights blur his vision. His entire body feels crushed. Footsteps echo as Yu Yong stands by the bed with his phone. The phone rings loudly. Yu Yong answers, greeting his boss with a very respectful and formal bow. He offers thanks and hangs up, mentioning he skipped work today. Opening his briefcase, he checks on Suchoi. That mask boosts power but drains life. He had no other choice back then. He forced a total power shutdown, acting on pure survival instinct for the sake of the clan. He apologizes for his brother Yui, but Xiao declines. Su asks about the demon using goblin magic, so Mang reveals the truth. The demon is named Byong. Rain lashes the city while people huddle under umbrellas in the freezing cold. She muses that even this world knows storms. Humans possess a grit she never expected. Smee offers a shaky thanks. She was clueless about managing all those prying witnesses. Reflecting on the chaos, she admits things would have gone nuclear without that crucial backup. Ciala points toward Gu, noting his wasted time. She totally fumbled her own pure intentions. Reaching the cafe, they see the open sign flickering on the door. Some girls nearby gossip about a breakup, making Smee gasp. Completely lost, Ciola asks her bestie for a vibe check on the drama. Smee explains the owner is the main attraction before they march straight toward the service counter. Go says they are closed, but his expression softens once he finally recognizes their familiar faces. Confused, Smee asks why he is locking up when he summoned them here. He grumbles about barely being open anyway before taking their orders. Smee gets her usual while Ciola scans the menu, all while Smee vents. She rants about her caffeine, but Ciola is just vibing and sipping her drink quietly. He suggests some tea, but Ciola snaps her eyes flashing as she demands what he is staring at. The kitchen voice tells them to chill. Trust me, you and I need to see what is next. Alright, you and I are diving into a story where Smee defends the kid, but Ciola sees through his act. She laughs that, in a world of the blind, the one-eyed man is king. Smee warns that a fox is hunting the tiger's throne. As Seol explains, even demons have enemies they absolutely hate. These animal grudges don't just go away. They actually get worse when these creatures turn into powerful demons. Power levels might change over time, but these blood-soaked rivalries are handed down to every single new generation. Sensing the tension, Go reassures Solmi while coolly wiping down the counter. He's making his stance very clear. He won't fight like some wild animal, but she lets her aura explode in a deadly threat. She says killing him would be easy. Totally unbothered, he just shrugs and says, "Bet." Then a voice suddenly demands the young master explain himself right now. Caught off guard, Smee can't even blink before a new person arrives and starts yelling at the boy. She scolds him for fighting on his very first day. He just grumbles that the fox started the whole thing. She walks up and warns him that being good won't save him, placing a very firm hand on his shoulder. "Trust me, you and I need to watch this part." She warns he's poking a high-ranking VIP, and he'll take the fall for this mess. While she's playing chess, Solwa is just slowly backing away. Siwa says she'd rather not kill the last tiger. Solmi watches, totally surprised to see her actually back down from the fight. She just smirks. The irony behind this whole tangled web of secrets is honestly pretty funny to her. She mentions a nasty ancient spirit is guarding him, then tells him he better start acting right. Seo tells him to just ignore her, then spins toward Goyu to ask why they were even summoned. The woman demands a full explanation for breaking their secret cover before Goyu finally starts talking. He says elite demons are now licensed. It's a whole new era. Before talking to Solwa, he calls out Huanwei and Wang. Every other demon has been sent back home. Shocked, Solmi frantically asks about Seo Choi, but Hong Ryan clarifies that Seo is the sole exception. Terrified, she asks if he's stuck in the demon realm alone. Though Seo admits he has strength, his power is half-baked, meaning a mere mortal like him would be eaten alive within days. She commits to training Seo for 1 month for their deal. While he sighs, he insists she needs to focus, warning that the boy's life is hanging in the balance. Her new goal: protect the boy from the most dangerous predators out there, other humans. Back in recovery, Seo Choi is in bed wondering if Baehyun was actually related to him. Mang says the demon is 1,500 years old. That is totally insane. Living that long takes a ton of energy. Seo's head is spinning. How do these old enemies stay so young? Yu Yang notes that looks can be deceiving. Devastated, our lead admits his best attack didn't even work. He feels like a total failure, but M tells him to quit the crying. Only the top tiers are his peers now. Dropping a total bombshell, Mang reveals that goblins vanished 666 years ago. The clan fractured, and the victory came at a brutal cost, leaving all the winners completely shattered. It looked like they were extinct. He thought the last survivor had died from his terrible wounds. He assumed Sue was the secret heir to that lost family line. Their long lifespans really backed up his theory. But wait, you and I just saw something impossible. Baehyun is back and stronger than ever, meaning Sue might have found his kin, which is a massive, looming problem for everyone. Why stay hidden until now? They have to figure out why his bloodline is suddenly being hunted down. He wonders if Sue's mom is actually human. Right then, she walks in and calls his name. A school memory hits him. He sees his mother crying and apologizing for something he did. She claimed it was all her fault, but the teacher tells her to relax, while explaining what really happened. Apparently, an older bully started the fight by stealing a soccer ball from a friend. Sue just snapped, demanding the ball back right then. Things got crazy, but his mom explains what happened next. The bully's parents didn't say a word. After bowing to show her gratitude, his mother leads him away. They both walk home in a very heavy and awkward silence. She asks if he's still mad. He holds her hand and says he's not angry at all. He was the one who threw the punch. She hugs him tight, whispering that some fights just have to happen. He finally understands. She wasn't just worried about the fight, she was looking for a very special promise. With a pinky promise, Sue makes a vow to his mother. He can still feel the warmth of that hug. He knew it was serious. He kept his word and never fought again until his powers finally woke up. He explains his dad was a legendary fighter. He's pretty sure that goblin blood came from his father's side. His mom was just a normal human. He thinks she kept it secret on purpose. You and I saw it. He's more human than monster, and that is what matters. All right, you and I are diving into a world where low expectations are the ultimate fuel for power. Sue is absolutely fuming because that theory is total garbage. Mang defends him, but Sue demands some real answers. The shamans are calling him an accomplice now. Poor Sue is floored when he hears about all these people vanishing. Police are reporting that entire apartment blocks have literally disappeared. It is total madness, and the internet is losing it. They have been prepping for weeks, but the truth came crashing down in less than a single day. Sue watches the headlines as panic hits the roof. Meng says these shamans just need someone to blame. Luckily, no one has died yet, but the carnage was very public. Now, the shamans want Sue handed over immediately. Sue says he acted alone, but Meng is shouting about broken laws. This choice belongs to me, Meng declares. The shamans really crossed the line this time. Sue is ready to give up, but Mong Ti vows to protect them. His heart just stops. Why is his mom being targeted? Yu Yong says the shamans actually view her as a criminal. The air feels like ice as they stare Sue down. Then boom, a window shatters and he moves instantly. Now pay attention, he tries to bolt for the exit, but Meng Tai's grip is like iron. He blocks the path, acknowledging the kid's desperation, but warning he is falling for a trap. He hits the ground, hearing a protector is already on site. Yu Yang tells him to finally listen to reason. Shaking on the floor, Sue's energy starts to look very dangerous. Trapped in mystical seals, he chokes out that this nightmare is his fault. His reckless choices caused all of this. He was just too ignorant to see the massive price tag that came along with his actions. Tears are flowing as he begs them to feel his pain. He gathers every bit of hidden power to explode. He is fighting those bindings like a caged animal. Suddenly, a massive explosion rocks the entire city skyline. The glowing threads snap like glass, and he is free. Standing tall, those heavy chains are finally broken for good. Darkness surges as he reveals his demonic form. Meng Tai is stunned that raw strength alone beat his divine magic. With a quick apology, he vows to come back once his mother is safe. He dives out the broken window and vanishes into the city, leaving a trail of pure destruction behind him. The elders are frozen as their prize escapes. Meng Tai is furious, but Yu Yang just gives him a sheepish grin. He makes a lame excuse about not having enough water for his magic spells. I know what you are thinking. There is literally a torrential downpour outside. Smirking, Yu Yang admits he went easy. His magic shouldn't have been that easy to shred. Looking at the mess, Meng Tai just lets out a heavy sigh. He steps up to take the blame. He says he will take full responsibility for this whole mess. A son's cry for his mother is impossible to ignore. Across town, the sun is finally starting to set. Sue's mom is getting worried because her calls are going straight to voicemail. Then a doorbell shatters the silence. She walks toward the door, trembling with fear. She asks who is there, but gets no answer. Ciola appears right behind her like a creepy shadow. With one chilling command, she forces the woman into silence. Overwhelmed by power, the woman's eyes glow with a weird light. Then the front door just splinters into pieces. She sneers at the wreckage. Solmi was right about humans being pathetic. Then she slams the door as Yusen appears. Yusen warns her that numbers won't save them. He threatens to erase anyone standing in his way right now. He tells Ciola to bow if she wants to live. In a whisper, he speaks a forbidden command word. Ciola starts weaving a mental trap. Realizing he is being attacked, Yusen draws his sword for a lethal showdown. Seeing him hesitate, she calls Solmi inside to help out. Solmi is so relieved she didn't show up too late. Yusen drops to his knees, cursing the weak shaman. Siwa ignores him, ordering the others to grab Sue's mother. Suddenly, a heavy, suffocating pressure fills the air. Energy starts wrapping around the entire city block. Solmi freezes as her blood runs cold from the alien sensation. Ciola realizes how bad this is immediately. They can both feel reality starting to shift around them. A massive barrier locks them all inside. This was not an accident. It was a total setup. The shaman staggers up, demanding to know who sent the vanguard. He is standing ready to fight a monster. Siwa can't believe it. He broke her mental shackles with a flash of steel and disarmed his opponent. And that is where you and I leave it, with a single strike sending the weapon into the shadows. Alright, you and I are about to witness a legendary master lose everything. He claims he is not here for a fight, only to keep the mother safe. He pulls her close as Solmi finally realizes who their mysterious savior actually is. Ciola stares him down, wondering if this friend of Xiao Choi is for real. Time is quickly slipping away. He warns them the building is sealed tight by a high-level spiritual barrier. Ciola scoffs, thinking they can just blow their way out. He is confused by their anger when he is just trying to help. But Ciola reminds him he is a shaman. Loyalty is a total luxury. Solmi agrees. Even talking to this guy feels like playing with literal fire. Realizing their fear is fair, he drops his guard completely. He forces his anger down and accepts their cold welcome. To earn their trust, he decides on a massive gamble. Ciola watches the air shift as he begins a brutal attack on his own body. The girls watch in pure horror as he strikes his own vital points. Gasping, he explains he just disabled his own power flow. He is now just a defenseless, ordinary human. He even invites them to scan his mind for the truth. Ciola warns him she could turn him into a mindless puppet right now. He pants, knowing the risk, but says it is the only way to escape. Solmi asks why he would risk his life like this. With a tired, honest smile, he simply says they are friends. Siola lets out a cynical laugh at that answer. But the message is clear, he is on their side. Solmi steps forward, calling him either a complete idiot or a legendary friend. Finally, Siola begins to wonder where the other shamans are. Seo Choi sprints homeward, his feet pounding the street. Pain bites hard, but he bolts forward anyway. Now pay attention. This is where the real threat reveals himself. A mysterious man appears and calls him by his full name. The stranger introduces himself as Jagwang Im. Seo Choi freezes. That is a heavy hitter from a high-ranking shaman agency. Yun comes to mind. He demands answers, but Jagwang just orders his immediate and total surrender. The nightmare gets worse. The barrier has sealed shut, trapping his mother inside. Jagwang stalks forward, mocking the boy for trying to run. With a cold expression, Seo Choi prepares for war. Suddenly, a masked shadow looms right behind him in the dark. He spins just in time to dodge a lethal ambush, but a heavy kick connects before he can even react. His attacker smirks, enjoying this twisted little game. He recovers quickly, bracing for the next strike that sends him skidding into a battle stance. Shock hits him. His defense was useless. Suddenly, everything shifts as they enter the very heart of the barrier. Jagwang calls this a fishing trap. Seo Choi realizes he is now nothing more than prey in a cage. Surrender or die, it is a simple choice. Seo Choi answers by dropping into a deadly stance ready for the impact. Just then, a subtle tremor ripples through his entire being. A distant, familiar voice starts to echo deep in his soul. Without a word, the enemy retreats. He sprints toward his house. That energy spike was close. He has to break free now. He has to protect his mother. She is safe for now, but he is the main target. She will be next. He needs a distraction to buy time. To let her flee, he baits Jagwang. The shaman misses, shocked by the boy's insane speed. The enemy lunges forward. Fists and feet become a blur as they exchange a brutal symphony of heavy strikes. Seo Choi senses a massive power gap. Their clash releases a shockwave of raw energy. He blocks a blow while planning his move. You and I both know this isn't a fair duel. Jagwang scoffs as Seo Choi feels his heart sink. This place is too dangerous for a brawl. Jagwang grins, explaining the barrier is actually protecting all the civilians outside. No one can see their deadly dance. Seo Choi notices that every single bystander has been knocked unconscious. Jagwang mocks him, saying he should have just given up. A devastating punch craters the street, but Seo catches it as his patience snaps. He grips his enemy's arm like solid iron. Jagwang turns pale, completely unable to break the boy's monstrous hold. Using his technique, he executes a violent toss. An explosion erupts as Jagwang hits the dirt, while the masked woman watches silently. They warn Seo that their mercy has reached its limit. Jagwang staggers back up, refusing to give in just yet. Seo's eyes turn ice cold as he issues a final warning. He cannot guarantee Jagwang's life next time. Rage boils in the shaman. He ignites his speed and charges at Seo. He launches a thunderous kick to shatter bone, but Seo stands there unfazed. Jagwang's mind reels. How did he tank a hit that strong? He unleashes a frantic barrage of strikes in desperation. Despair sets in. Seo is like an immovable mountain. He counters the attack with a single surgical punch. The shockwave sends Jagwang hurtling through the air. Seo turns his gaze to the silent masked figure who hasn't moved an inch. She is just observing the chaos. He warns her that he will strike if she dares to intervene now. Jagwang demands more power. And trust me, you and I are going to want to see what happens next. Alright, stick with me. You and I are about to see a huge shift as Sue locks onto his next move. He scans the field and realizes that masked figure is the real trouble. Game over for her, hopefully. He lunges, but she instantly drops a set of mystical talismans. Suddenly, 100 spirits are surrounding him. The real war with the shaman agency officially kicks off now. Shochi braces for the fight because his mom's life is the prize. Vengeful spirits flood the streets as the agency finally shows off its terrifying true power. With one command, the masked woman sends her spirits out. Suddenly, glowing blue chains wrap around Seo. He fights those magical restraints, but they are not moving. Then a massive pillar of energy shoots straight up. Violent power erupts from the ground as he lunges forward and strikes her right in the head. Now pay attention here, his shield holds firm, and she is about to learn that talismans can't stop a real demon. A terrifying goblin mask appears on his face. He charges, swinging his blade in a huge arc. She barely dodges that lethal blow. As she pulls back, he realizes something important. That barrier of hers is not invincible. It definitely has a limit. She claps her hands and starts a forbidden chant. He is looking everywhere for a fatal flaw in her defense. The chant ends, and she prepares a lethal new move. Shu just waits there, totally stone cold. He signals 3 fingers as 3 elite shamans close in. With 2 disciples alongside them, they have him surrounded. These shamans are basically living anchors for the barrier. So Lola notes that taking out half of them will shatter the field. He looks at the ladies on the sofa and kindly warns them that this is not a simple situation. Shaman power is totally different from demons. Their arts were actually engineered for just one thing: hunting down demons. This is not a fair fight, it is a total trap. Success depends on how their powers match up. Those three chiefs are serious monster slayers. Since they have to fight, he politely suggests a tactical split. The girls will double team one chief while he takes on the others alone. It is time to divide and conquer. He says he has tracked every enemy, but Solua shuts him down. She reminds him his powers are still sealed. Okay, I know what you are thinking. His plan is dead and Solmi is starting to lose hope. Not great. Their survival odds just crashed. Siwa mentions that the enemies aren't the only ones concerned about the regular civilians. Slumped against the door, the boy sighs. Their enemies are so obsessed they would hide any mess and bury the evidence. Smee asks the big question, why do they want him? Well, these shamans have waited 666 years. Smee argues that a world without demons means peace. Humanity thrived in a golden age, but he quickly corrects that view. He looks out at the skyline where humans built an empire all on their own. The old ways died out. Shamans were tossed aside like old superstitions from a forgotten era. Modern shamans have a massive inferiority complex. He smirks, predicting human despair within 6 months. They will mock us soon. They aren't myths anymore. They are returning to be rulers. Their government influence vanished, leaving them totally desperate. Capturing the leader is their only path to dominance. It is a straight bid for total authority. Smee can't believe they would sacrifice innocence for petty power. Do they really value power more than human life? Boom. A massive energy spire detonates on top of a nearby skyscraper. The explosion completely rattles the room. Siwa spins around in shock. Sio recognizes that signature. It is pure convergence energy. As the convergence of 100 finally opens, the masked woman strikes the rooftop. She triggers a high-tier ability. First, she chants ancient scriptures to draw out hidden energy. Most shamans use this method to boost their power. But what comes next is a legend rarely seen. Her second ability is a true miracle god invocation. She offers her own flesh as a vessel for the divine. A celestial warrior summoned from the heavens now stands before him. Shu feels the weight of a god. Stick around, you and I are about to witness something truly wild. It is responding.